Welcome back, Comic Book Hero. Some time ago, did a video, CGC versus CBCS, and I did take some hits for it. You know, it was too favorable. The CGC, CBCS is just as good, and I thought I tried to make points that would be salient and objective. Look, most comic book guys do not care about the name on a graded book. That's what I've come to find out. If you have the right book and it's graded, they'll buy it. You know, they pretty much trust that it's been looked over. That's up to a certain extent, however. About, let's say, like to a mid-grade book, or, you know, it's about 8.0, 9.0. Once you start getting into those upper echelons, once you start getting 9.6, 9.8, that's when it starts to track off a little bit. I mean, I never do PGX because while PGX sells, PGX doesn't have the reputation of either CBCS or CGC for that matter. So I never factored them in. But if you have a PGX book and it's a 10.0, I'm certain you'll make some money on it. The difference is that because it's much rarer to get a 10.0 with CGC or CBCS, that book is going to sell for a lot more money. Their standards tend to be, I don't want to say higher, but their standards tend to be different, and buyers tend to know this. But if you have an 8.0 is pretty much the same across the board for that matter. However, I still took some hits over it, and I decided, well, let me look at it again. CGC versus CBCS. You know, round two, if you will. You know, so again, I look, and there are slight, minute differences between these two companies. You can get grading that's very well done by both of them, in my opinion. You have your choice of whether you can join and become a member. You don't have to come and become a member. You can go to a show and you can submit at the show. You know, there's very little daylight between them, except for the fact that CGC sells better. And CGC continues to sell better since the last time I did this. You know, I went over the numbers. I looked over the books. You could have a same grade CGC 9.8 book, something like Super Sons #1. It sells better than the CBCS book. The question has to be why at this point. What is it about CGC that buyers are willing to pay more for as opposed to CBCS? Part of it might be that CGC is attached to a numismatic grading company, coins rather, and that might give them a little bit more push. Even though, you know, CBCS, I believe, is also attached to something similar, or just recently became attached to something similar like that. But then I took three, graded books out. I had a CGC book, CBCS, and a PGX, and just asked myself, which one of these what looks the best to you? And I had to be honest, the most bland one was the CBCS book. They have a very bland, flat-colored label. It doesn't look very attractive at all. If I remove that book, then it's really a toss-up between CGC and PGX. PGX may not necessarily have the best reputation for their books, but their label looks great. Okay, it looks excellent. When it says platinum, it's shiny, it's sparkling, and that's where it hits me. It's not just the book, okay? The casing, everything about it, it needs to look collectible. Okay, nobody cares as much about, oh, this was a CBS book. It needs to look dynamic at the end of the day. The PGX books look sparkling. And I have to admit, the CGC books also look very nice. Even their holster now, where you can pick it up and there's a little purchase for you, so you can pull it up without having to slide your finger on and thereby do less damage to the overall casing, if any damage at all. But they both look very nice. The blending of the three, CBCS at the end of the day. Sorry to say it at the end of the day, but it just doesn't hold up in comparison. The others two look much nicer, much shinier, if you will, and it boils down to it. Which one do you want to have on your shelf? Which one looks better to show off and display? The one with the bland-looking label, or the one that looks really sparkly and shiny? We've been human beings for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years now, and we are attracted to that shiny stuff. So I guess that's one of the reasons why it's attracting a wee bit more. Hey, at the end of the day, you're going to buy what you want, but like I've always said, we're collectors. Eventually, everything in your collection will have a day where it's time to leave your collection. It could be your last day on Earth, Or it could just be that you've had it for 10 years and you're ready to part with it. You know, the dynamic of having it in your collection is no longer that big of a deal for you anymore, and you want to unload it. If you're unloading it, the last thing I think you want to do is to do it on the cheap, especially if you put down some good money on it. And so, sadly for those of you who disagree, CGC, still the gold standard and still tops in the grading community. But hey, what do I know? You'll let me know in your comments, right? Be gentle this time. Not that I can't take it, but it's a family-friendly show. See you later.